Hello, my gosh, it's been so long. So this is the first time I'm running my meditation music in the background. Sorry. Let me know if the audio is right. It seemed okay to me, but let me know if it's not loud enough or too loud or whatnot. Definitely appreciate the input. Oh God, where to begin? I think the first thing that comes to mind is we are we're now in a season where we have excuse me, a lot more fire energy, whereas before, for the last 6 weeks, we had a lot more water energy, and in particular I would say the last month or so, with Mercury and then Venus in Scorpio and all of these energies. We still have a lot of water energy with the Sun in Scorpio, but most of the water energy has moved on into fire stuff. So what does this mean? It means that we're entering a time period that is much more upbeat, positive emotionally, rather than more introspective. Potentially water energy can get quite down potentially, and I think especially with this grand trine in water that we've had, there was a very real potential, and something that we need to keep in mind for because this time, so much information. Let me finish that first thought. So there was very real potential to get caught up in imaginary fears, especially as per the world, as per the collective of humanity, because Saturn in Pisces naturally just tends to have that particular challenge. And there can be a feeling of hopelessness, a feeling of dread, a feeling of feeling lost at sea with no land in any direction, a feeling of not having a solid structure. And again, this can play out both on the macrocosmic scale of all of us, of the entire world, but also on the microcosmic scale for each of us as individuals. So, and that those things can be related too, of like, oh, I feel so down, or I feel so lost or confused or whatever, and the world seems like it's in such a chaos or whatever. And in some ways it is, because we're all going through that kind of process of, I think we talked about it in the last transit video, of Saturn. Any energy in Pisces is wrapping up a cycle. And so we're all wrapping up a 30-year cycle, 30-year cycle with Saturn in Pisces. And we're in the thick of it. We've had it since February of last year, something like that, maybe March, something like that. It doesn't really matter. Long story short, we've had it for about a year and a half, almost 2 years. And we'll have it for a lot of this upcoming year. And then Saturn, almost at the beginning of the year, both Saturn and Neptune will enter the realm of space known as Aries and start a new cycle. And Saturn at least won't retrograde back, and maybe Neptune will. It doesn't matter. Saturn here is what we're really focused on. And although Neptune is part of those feelings too, of maybe feeling lost or whatnot. So much information. It's been a while. So I think yeah, I think it's good to look back at the last 6 weeks, especially because, and try and figure out, okay, what was I afraid of, right? Well, hold on, let me finish that thought. As per the collective, right? So for all of us, if we are feeling an overwhelming dread of uncertainty or confusion as per what's going on in the world, we all have to, I mean, we don't want to try and run from it or escape it, the reality, whatever the reality may be. We want to do our part to make the world a better place, but beyond what we can do, we need to just let it go, real. And of course that's true in general, but especially during this time period, because it is so easy for us as human beings to, with these energies, and especially where we're coming from, but even though we've moved on into this fire stuff, Mars and Leo, Mercury and Sagittarius, we're going to be having Mars retrograde back into Cancer within the next 6 months. We'll get into that. It's a whole other focus for today. But my point being, we need to really kind of look back a little bit. As much as we're feeling the fire energy, we'll get into that too, that's really positive and upbeat, and it's moving forward, and we need to move with that. Of course, whatever the energies are of the season, we need to move with it. But we're not quite done with that chapter that we were just through. Now, we don't have to go through the worst of it if we experienced a lot of overwhelming water energy, feeling down, again, feeling depressed, feeling hopeless, whatever it may be, because any energy out of moderation is going to lead to certain challenges, and water out of moderation leads to those challenges. We've had a lot of water, and we still do have a lot of water, and we're going to have a lot more water in the coming months. I don't think as much really excuse me, as we've had, but my point being, is this is a good chance for healing and reflection for us to understand, okay, what am I afraid of on a microcosmic level? Because the macrocosmic, yeah, we may have fears and they may be valid or not, or who knows, as per what's going on in the world. Excuse me, I'm overcoming a cold. I apologize. I just really want to do this video, so I know my voice is all gross, but it is what it is. Excuse me. But really, yeah, beyond doing whatever constructive, productive thing we can to make the world a better place, we need to just kind of wash our hands of it and move on with our lives, because that's what we actually can control and really influence. And that is the best way, really, to make the world a better place, too. But we need to be asking ourselves, okay, what have we been afraid of in the last 6 weeks, especially since Mars has been in Cancer? A lot of it has to do with family. A lot of it has to do with childhood. And so trying to have a better understanding now is going to be really helpful in about, I should have done this beforehand, but I did not. I know that Mars retrogrades back into Cancer basically with the new year. Yeah. And then Saturn will be midway through Pisces at that time. So we still have this, this transit of Mars in Cancer trine Saturn and Pisces with the upcoming year. And again, I know the energies of the fire energy, and we're going to get to that in just a moment, is like, no, I don't want to focus on the past. I don't want to focus too far in the future. I want to focus on the now. I want to have fun. It's like, that's totally understandable, but just taking a moment to just take stock of where we've been will be really helpful when the next kind of chapter happens with this, because also Venus will be in Pisces when Mars does retrograde back into Cancer. And by the way, that's going to be January 5th, late January 5th, something like that, of this upcoming year. So that's only about 2 months away, almost exactly 2 months away. So, and then Mars will be there for another, because Mars retrograde, it spends a long time in that region of space. So yeah, I'm going forward to March 6th. It's still there. April 6th, it's starting to make its way out. I think we're looking at mid to late April, basically by Taurus season. Yeah, almost exactly by Taurus season. It's like April 15th or 16th. Who knows? It doesn't matter. But long story short, from January 5th to mid-April, we have the Mars in Cancer. So that's why I'm bringing it up, because it's really important, because it's a lot of water energy. So the more that we understand what we've just been through, as per the water energy we've just been through, the more we'll be set up when that comes around. And again, I think the big thing to be asking ourselves is, what are we afraid of? And what are we doing? That's the beautiful thing about Mars in Cancer, is it's got a strong survival energy, a really strong sense of survival instinct to be able to do things, get stuff started, etc. For me, it's really played a huge part, and I wasn't expecting this, but in finally working out and getting a really nice regular regimen, I've put on like 7 pounds of muscle in that time, and it's just been fantastic. And as much as there's been other things, I felt a lot of the water energy and felt quite overwhelmed by that Mars in Cancer. You know, Mars in Cancer is a cardinal energy, so it gets stuff started. So it's good to ask yourself that. What have I gotten started in the last basically 2 months? And what can I keep going now that Mars is in Leo? And how can I move forward? And conversely, what did I not maybe do over the last couple months? And what can I start doing now? Because Mars has just entered Leo, so we still have that Mars in Cancer energy. It's never too late to start a good habit, but this is a really good time to just kind of get in before the door shuts on starting some kind of new habit. So, yeah, I feel like there's one thing left to say. I think just the fear thing, really, to figure out, okay, what are we afraid of and how do we face our fears? Because that's the key with any kind of fear, and especially with all this water energy, is getting to the core of it and understanding it logically, and having that clarity and that understanding helps us to be able to not be subconsciously dominated by those fears. and to be able to grow and to make the most of all this fire energy. Otherwise, I think if we don't do that, if we don't face our fears, this fire energy, excuse me, will be an uncontrolled fire potentially in our lives. You know, in the sense of again, running away from our fears, very reckless, these kind of energies of all the Sagittarius energy. The challenging side, all these great sides we'll get to in just a moment, but the challenging side is substance abuse potentially, again, trying to escape reality in a way that isn't actually helpful or healthy. So that's something that we want to be mindful of. Okay, all right, enough of that stuff. Again, we're through the water energy that focuses on what's not working, what needs to be healed, the challenging. Again, I invite you to introspect and reflect. And I wanted to make a video to encourage everybody to do that while we were experiencing it, but I was wrapped in on my own process, and it is what it is. But in any case, again, it's never too late to reflect and figure out, okay, how did I get here today in this moment? Okay, cool. Understanding the past helps move forward into the future all the better. So we got a lot of fire energy, and I'm really enjoying it personally. It's it's nice to get out of, a grand trine in astrology is basically when you have an astronomical body in the three regions of space of the same element, earth or air or fire, or in this case water. And there a lot of people say this is a good energy, or that's a bad energy, or this is a good aspect, or that's a bad aspect. And over the more than a decade that I've been studying all this, I long have come to the conclusion there is no such thing as a good or bad energy or good or bad aspect. Certain things are certainly have a nice gift that they offer at the forefront of our lives, and we can make use of the gift and even use that gift to like help us with the challenges. But at the end of the day, every energy is going to have an equal challenge and equal gift. And with a grand trine, something that is said to be a very favorable aspect, that's the challenge, is it's so much of one particular element. So again, I personally am I love all the energies, but I have a double water moon. My rising is right on the cusp of water. I identify with the water element a lot in my life, and I am ready for all this fire. I'm very much stoked, pun intended, on all this fire. And I think we all should be. And what does this mean? All this fire energy is, again, it's a kind of a purifying emotion. So we've had a lot of kind of swampy emotions, which is useful in a lot of ways and good to get to the depths of our feelings. But at the same time, like every new transit, it's the turning of the page. It's a new chapter. And it's really, I think this one has a lot of fun for us. Laughter, joy, exploration. I was saying to a friend, just talking privately, and I was mentioning how something that all of us collectively should do at this time is to look at the horizon, to look at the big picture. And Mercury in Sagittarius in particular, although the moon in Sagittarius right now, although the moon will move very quickly as it always does through the energies, but Venus in Sagittarius for the next maybe week and a half, something like that. But we have Mercury in Sag for 2 weeks or so. Oh, and then we have a Mercury retrograde that's later on in the month. We'll cover that another time. And then Sun will be in Sagittarius. So we're in kind of we're really getting into Sagittarius season, and that's augmented by the Mars in Leo. Mars just went into Leo. Not to mention Jupiter's in Gemini, so it's like kind of flaring up all of the Sagittarius good feelings, the optimism, the buoyancy, the positivity, the curiosity, the feeling of anything is possible. And we need that in life. That's really important. Sagittarius energy, fire energy in general, but Sagittarius in particular is the energy of recognizing that there's infinite goodness to experience in life. There's infinite goodness within ourselves to grow and blossom and expand. And we're meant to see the brighter side of life in general, in keeping in mind Sagittarian wisdom, but especially excuse me, this during this season every year when we have these different astronomical transits in Sagittarius, we're meant to kind of be boosted and to look forward to things and to enjoy where we are right now to the best of our ability, and again to see the positive in whatever negative that we're experiencing. So we're coming from a time period that is a bit more focused on the negative and or can be certainly, and now we're more focused on the positive. So now let's look at a challenge. Hold on, I just want to say one thing And this might be dwelling on the positive too much to say one more thing, but I do feel like there's something I need to say for that, which is I think just dream big. Look at the big picture. Focus on what's going right in your life and build on that. Because Mars in Leo, that energy is trying all this energy. So it, excuse me, it's helping us to put into action all of these good feelings. It's nice to feel good feelings, but if we're not putting it into action, then we're not going to have necessarily even more good feelings after this transit, right? Because Mars is going to be in Leo for a long time too, with the Mars in retrograde time period. Even though we have a lot more Mars in Cancer in the next 6 months, for the rest of this year, we have Mars in Leo, and then we have Mars in Leo again, mid-April through June, mid-June, late June, something like that. So yeah, this is a great opportunity to get stuff done and to, fire energy is all about our inner child and our true self, which is our inner child. So I just want to encourage you to dream big, to let your heart guide you, to believe in yourself more than ever before, and to do things that really make your heart shine, and allows your good feelings to grow in your life in a way that continues on even after these transits move on. That's what's really on offer here, and it's a really exciting opportunity for all of us to grow. But we have to lean into it. Like every single energetic transit, we got to lean into it, and again, believe in ourselves, shine. I always say Mars in Leo, and I have Mars in Leo natally, so from personal experience, and I also have a lot of other Leo. I have Rising and Venus and Jupiter. Mars in Leo, out of all of the different energies that I've studied, learned about, observed, talked to people about, Mars in Leo is the one energy that out of all the Leo energies, out of all the Mars energies, out of all the energies in general, is if I'm doing a reading for somebody with Mars in Leo, and again, knowing from personal experience, because I'm also, as many people know, a songwriter as well, I always ask, if somebody has Mars in Leo in their chart, what are you doing creatively? Because out of all of the different energies, again, Leo is creativity, and it's not like there's no hierarchy of creativity. There's amazing artists that I personally love, that so many people personally love, that don't have Mars and Leo, that don't have maybe even Leo prominently in their chart at all, especially a lot of the people I work with, because I kind of bring the Leo to the party, so everyone else brings other stuff to the party that I ain't got, and that's the beauty in creativity. And it's all equally good, as long as it's coming from the heart, and is authentic. But and you don't gotta do Mars, you don't gotta have Mars and Leo to do that. But Mars in Leo has so much to do with the heart, and is such a creative energy, and it's an opportunity for all of us whenever Mars comes around in Leo to be more creative. It doesn't matter if you're professionally creative or not. It doesn't matter if you sing or dance or draw or whatever well or not. The whole point is to express ourselves. It's really important in life in general, and especially when Mars is in Leo, it's an opportunity for us to reconnect with our inner child and to have fun just being ourselves and playing and laughing and being silly and whatnot, both on our own and also with loved ones. And I think especially since Venus is in Sagittarius and Mercury in Sagittarius, there is a lot more sociability during the next several weeks, and even after that, because then Sun goes into Sagittarius. But I would say solidly for the next week, maybe 10 days for sure, because Venus will be in Sagittarius until it goes into Capricorn. So long story short, have fun, express yourself, let your inner child come out. That's really important in life. Before I forget, as always, I'm doing readings. Info in the about section to book a reading with me. For today, what else? I don't know. That's the most important thing. I think one last thing is we're at this time period, and it happens every year, where the outer planets are all retrograde. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, they are all retrograde. And that just means it's not that we can't experience progress, and I think this is all especially poignant considering we have a Mars retrograde, which happens only once every 2 years. As well, and we're not quite in the thick of it. Maybe we are in the pre-shadow period. I'm not sure. It doesn't matter. But long story short, it doesn't matter who we are, what's going on in our lives. Everyone on the planet is going to be experiencing for the next, I would say, 6 to 8 months, something like that, a feeling of, there's a spectrum, like with every astrological transit, of what we might experience. A lot of people are going to feel stuck. I've certainly felt stuck with these energies in certain ways. At the very, at the best of scenario, having to be patient and take our time, because when, especially like Jupiter and Saturn are retrograde, again, it's not that progress doesn't occur. It's like I say, when Mercury is retrograde, we have to focus on the past in order to be able to grow into the future. So for example, and again, don't ever, be superstitious with this stuff. If you're feeling something, then, God's putting that fire in your heart to go do something, and there you go. But I mean, you got to be feeling it to your core, because it's really easy, especially with all this fire energy, to go, you know what, I'm going to start something brand new. And with Jupiter and Saturn retrograde, this is not a great time to be starting something brand new necessarily. This is more a time of, again, going inwards and focusing on things that need work, like me and my book, and also me and recording music. Focus on the past. Yes, new stuff, new. Sagittarius loves new, Gemini loves new. But I think the most meaningful successes and the most meaningful growth that you can build over the next, I would say definitely for the rest of the year, Mars being retrograde too, I mean, I would say through to June, progress for new endeavors can occur. Of course, I don't mean to generalize, and I don't want to dissuade anyone from something that they're really passionate about. But I think for most people generally, it's really important to, again, take our time and make sure all the details are right. This is not a very attractive message, I know, because Sagittarius does not like to take its time, and it doesn't like to focus on the details. But that is, if we want to make the most progress possible, we need to, for the next several weeks, bring in the Virgo element to all this energy, because we got Saturn and Pisces, we got Jupiter and Gemini, we got all the Sagittarius. It's making a grand cross. Well, it would be a grand cross, but we need the Virgo, and so to balance it out, we need to bring in Virgo, which is the details, being patient, really, again, detail oriented, working to make sure things function, they make sense, and they, again, I don't mean to repeat myself, but to be at a baseline, like functionality, it works, it's efficient. So if we're going to start new stuff, we want to keep that in mind. I think one last thing is really easy. It's really easy. Fire energy is our inner child. Our inner child is innocent, is loving. The unconscious side of our inner child is a brat, is a temper tantrum throwing person. This is why people with a lot of fire energy can be the most loving person you meet, or they can, another person, if they're not consciously aware, they can be truly like terrible 2-year-olds and just be very narcissistic, and self-absorbed, etc. So we want to make sure that we are leaning into our positive inner child, and we are not causing drama. We're thinking before we speak of the consequences of what we say and what we do, because during this time, all this fire energy, it can just bulldozer isn't the right word, it's like a rocket ship. You just run right over with a rocket ship, I don't know, people's feelings, and it only takes a couple words to really burn somebody's heart. So we want to be mindful of that. And again, we also want to avoid drama, because that's us misusing the Mars and Leo energy from personal experience and years past. Trust me, drama doesn't, I know it feels good in the moment, but it only burns. Everybody gets burnt by it. And even if it feels good burning somebody else because petty ego bullshit in the moment, later on you realize, oh, fuck. Oh, God, how did I get burnt? Always, it happens, however much, yeah. Anyways, long story short, just use your energy to create, not to destroy. And I think you'll be in a really, really sweet spot with all this energy. So again, as always, I'm doing readings, info in the description, and I'll check back in hopefully a lot sooner than this last wait. Infinite love to you, my friends. Namaste. Peace.